Tuesday is that you probably are going to overdose on me by the end of this. And so I just want everybody to know ahead of time. I am so sorry if Paul just kind of like spontaneously combusts.
No, it'll be fine, man. I hope you had a good holiday weekend.
Yeah, man, it was good. Got to hang out with the people. Got to see more people. SMU won, so I can't really complain. I know you guys took on the Titans over at Long Island University. How'd that turn out for you guys?
The Gators did all right, 55-0. Other than some field goal woes, we played pretty well.
Right on. Well, big show this week. A YouTube auditor, First Amendment auditor, visited the city of Niceville. We'll talk a little bit about that. Property purchased by a city councilman in Fort Walton Beach drew a couple of eyeballs that we're also going to discuss from a property perspective and a city public official perspective. Seacoast Collegiate opened its new facility over there in South Walton. A student was arrested and detained by ICE, something that we both talked about at breakfast this morning. And what's going to happen at Eglin's golf course? Do you care? I think you should. And we'll talk about it here just in a couple of minutes. But first of all, I am Saul. He is Paul. And Paul, you have a hat. Tell us about your hat.
I do. I mean, it's related to the first story in solidarity for the city of Niceville government and what they had to go through with a video being released. And we'll talk about it in a second. I decided to support the Nicevillians and our city government by wearing the Niceville city government hat.
So this video that we're going to talk about in a minute, I know there's another famous City of Niceville video where a guy from like 15 years ago calls it the City of Evil, because if you take Niceville together and you cut the edges off, it becomes evil, City of Evil. And I think that was a missed opportunity, because I watched this whole 30-minute video and I feel like if somebody had done some research, they would have seen that that was right there for them, and they didn't capitalize on it, frankly.
Yeah, well, I guess we call him an independent journalist and activist, Mark Manchin or Mancone. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. His moniker is Press NH now. The NH is for New Hampshire, where supposedly he's originally from.
I'm just taking a tour of the.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
He came to Niceville city government to exercise his First Amendment rights to walk around with a camera phone and make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. So basically, First Amendment audits are not a new thing, but they are probably a new thing for the city of Niceville, which doesn't, we're not exactly a big city. But the idea being somebody goes in there with the camera, comes in kind of, I would consider like hot, like cameras rolling, ready to go, ready to capture everything, and sees if they are allowed to do the things that they are told by the laws of the state and the and the federal government that they are allowed to do. So basically be in public places in the area, film public people going about their duties. It escalated, and there apparently, I haven't seen any emails from any records requests I put in, but they say that they're going to send large numbers of emails to the city about the poor conduct of local officials. Paul, you've watched this whole thing. What's the first thing that sticks out to you, man?
Well, I mean, I understand the guy's rights to be able to exercise his First Amendment, but this guy comes under scrutiny just for the way he does it. He knows right where the lines are. He knows where to push the buttons, and what he can say, and what he can't say, what he can do, and what he can't do. Supporters will say his work is to promote government transparency and accountability, while critics will argue that his methods are just confrontational. And he was arrested at one point doing this somewhere else, I think in Charlestown, and eventually he was acquitted of all the charges. And the judge basically said like what he was doing was rude and disrespectful, but nothing illegal.
Yeah, being a huge jerk is not illegal. And we talked a lot about this at breakfast, and like where the line is and where it should be, and should this be a legal thing? And as you might have guessed, I took the unpopular First Amendment opinion and said, hey, he's within his rights. Being a jerk is not illegal. You just probably shouldn't. And so ultimately, I think his methods are abrasive, and he's not going to get a whole lot. He's not going to convince anybody that doesn't already agree with him, but it doesn't make it illegal.
Yeah, and just the downside of it is like, I give us maybe a C or a C minus on how we interacted with this fellow. Like if you just kind of leave him alone and don't give him any ammo, he doesn't get to put out his videos. All the videos that he puts out are the confrontational ones. And then he invites the nearly 200,000 subscribers he has to spam everyone's email address and socials affiliated with the city. And in the video, you can see right now, he's looking at people's business cards so that he can get those email addresses on camera and so that he can publicize them.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest critique on the city side that I would have as a former public information guy was the locking of the doors, like basically shutting down the offices. Like, yeah, this dude is super rude. He's super abrasive, and I wouldn't want to be around him either. But he does have a right to be there. And by locking him out, basically you're taking away a right for him to be in a public place. Which again, just basically giving him ammo. If you'd just been like, yeah, if you need anything, let me know. He probably would stay for like 5 minutes and then dip. But that's something that you have to talk about with your, staff members, elected officials about like, hey, if something like this happens, here's the plan. Like, hey, he has his rights. You don't get to take them away. But if you react, that's what he's looking for. So he might call you some names. He might be a jerk. And that sucks. But again, that allows people like me, I hate to say this, but like it allows people like me to do my job, making hard records requests. I mean, we're going to talk about another story with the Fort Walton Beach city councilman where I make, Colin Bester made a bunch of records requests, and, some people might not agree that this was like a meaningful story, a story that mattered, that we should have pulled records requests from, that it's a private business matter. And that's kind of like the next step on the slope down. And so to me, like, while I really don't love this, I understand it, and I see why something like this with maybe a little less acid all over it is valuable.
Yeah, I just worry a little bit about the fallout because this guy, through his antics, has gained quite the following. And so I don't know it'll be interesting to see if the city says anything. But I just wonder how many emails they're going to get, how many phone calls they're going to get, because, this guy does have quite the following. I'm hoping it just blows over quickly.
Yeah, and I think it will if they don't push back hard on it. If they make a whole thing, basically, then yeah, there's going to be more people that are attacking the city over this, and it's going to last longer. So the quicker you get it over with, the better off you are. Joseph, sorry about that. Basically, talking first things first about this video that is playing at the top. A gentleman that's a First Amendment auditor is what they call themselves, was talking to, or came into the city of Niceville offices, talked with them about his rights. I would say talk is kind of a generous term, shouted at him, and basically went and filmed. The city had the police show up, as you can just see. They tried to say like, hey, what are you doing here? You can't do this. You can't do that. And they were right about some stuff. You can't go into private offices, but he told them that he knew that. Basically, it was like a test by this dude who has decided that he needs to audit, I guess, cities all across America. I mean, there's cities from New Hampshire to down here that he's already done.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm hesitant to like even point people to the YouTube link because I don't want him to get any more views. Like, I just don't like his antics of how he did it. I know what he's doing for some seems super important. I think it could be done in a much more professional way. So I don't know. You decide, Christopher, if you're going to write a story and link the YouTube or not.
I feel like we covered this sufficiently. I don't know what the additional news peg is here. Like, city gets audited. I mean, to me, it's like, just go. Like, if you need to know, it's the first thing that pops up on YouTube. So enough about that one. Let's move into what has become somewhat of a controversial property purchase over in Fort Walton Beach. City Councilman Derek Jeter recently purchased a property from a homeowner that owned this piece of property and was arrested, had a public nuisance thing against him, a charge. That's what they're called, not a thing. Public nuisance charge. And then he was in jail, and this city councilman asked, hey, can I buy this property while he was in jail? Some people took issue with that. And after the purchase and after he was bonded out, the gentleman came to a city code ordinance hearing and said like, hey, I basically got robbed by the city councilman. And so thoughts on this?
Yeah, just one clarification. It's definitely not Derek Jeter. It's
Oh,
Bryce
did I say
Jeter.
Derek? Everybody has made me say Derek Jeter. It's Bryce Jeter. And I swear, I've made double, triple, quadruple sure that it's not that in the story. And
Yeah.
by golly, because 5 people have said it on video, I just can't not say it anymore.
Yeah. Bryce Jeter is a kind of a local developer, and he does a lot of infill projects. And so this is an example of where typically someone would just buy a lot, tear down the old home because it has a ton of code enforcement issues, and then build something bigger and better for the community. So what he does as a business person helps our community. I think what happened in this particular case is because of his position as a council member. If a deal's going to blow up in your face, this is the one that blows up and it just looks bad. I don't think he did anything wrong. This is fairly typical. Someone's in a bad spot. They don't have the money to fix their house. This particular guy gets put in jail because of all the issues with his house. And he's offered an opportunity, 1, to get out of jail, and 2, to get rid of the troublesome property, to have somebody else fix it for him. And so I think that's what Bryce is saying. He's like, Bryce is like, I did a service for Mr. Robinson Jr. And, and I paid a proper price for the house, and I did everything 100% legal, ethical, and moral. But the only problem is sometimes even when you do something 100% legal, ethical, and moral, if it starts going sideways and the other side of the party doesn't like how it went down or has a change of heart, it can still make you look bad in some degree, especially if you're a council person and you're aware of all of these code violations and different issues.
Yeah. So the reason this popped up on our radar, Colin, was I guess looking at code enforcement hearings as one does, because that's what we do for fun. And saw this another gentleman, a third party gentleman named Frank Esposito, came to the mic and said like, hey, this city councilman robbed this guy over here blind. It's not fair. It's not right. And then the gentleman, Mr. Robinson, came in and said, yeah, that wasn't right. And he did me wrong. And so we reported that, hey, these people are accusing this city councilman of doing wrong in this business transaction, abusing his position, stuff like that. And so we looked into it. I mean, like, we pulled dozens of records. We lined everything up. I think at one point, Colin had like a timeline just to kind of like figure out where everything was. This guy had been in jail for a month, couldn't bond out. He didn't have the money. So he asked Mr. Robinson, the person that was in jail, asked the buyer, Councilman Jeter, hey, will you make my bond part of the sale price? And in talking with a local attorney in the area that's somewhat familiar with this case, he made the comment, like, I would just like make that separate, because that now it becomes this like weird contractual thing where this is now a part of it. It does, like you said, it doesn't look good. And it's one of those things where I always think about like that biblical, like above reproach thing. And like whether or not he did something illegal, unethical, or immoral, like now it's like this story is out there. And that could have been avoided. But here we are. Story, I believe I just checked the website. It's not up yet, but we kind of follow up with all the text messages or messages that were sent between Councilman Jeter and Mr. Robinson while he was in jail. Those are all public record. And so we'll have that story up here. You can read that and look into this, decide for yourself whether or not you like the look of this. But yeah, I mean, from what we can tell, like, it's all above board legally.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to something happier.
Yay! I like happy.
All right. So Seacoast Collegiate High School celebrates a ribbon cutting ceremony. It looks like we got a ton of pictures on the website.
Yeah, so we have a ton of pictures, and I mean, the governor showed up. Congressman Jimmy Patronis was there to see President Mel Ponder, Northwest Florida State College, everybody that have come together on this project that's been built over the last couple of years. And I'm trying to think of the pitcher's name, and I don't want to say it wrong. And so
Tom Glavine was there.
Tom Glavine was there, not Glavine.
Yeah.
And so Tom Glavine was there to talk as well, but they cut the ribbon on this facility that's going to hold more than 250 students at any given time. Really beautiful, fits in with the very like seaside with a little bit of like Alice Beach thrown in. Okay, it's a cool vibe. Very beautiful campus on that satellite campus for Northwest Florida State College. Kids who go to school there will essentially have the same opportunities as the kids at Collegiate here in Niceville, so they can get a AA degree or I believe also an associate's in science. So basically, either way, they get 60 credit hours as they head into college. So 2-year degree out of the way, have to take 60 credit hours to get their bachelor's degree, puts them 2 years ahead, and it's all debt free. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, shout out to Mel Ponder. I know this was kicked off a long time ago before his presidency, but I feel like this is like the first really big thing in Mel Ponder's presidency at Northwest Florida State College, and such a great thing for our community to have just another option for kids, to move along and matriculate through their higher education. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
and you won't catch me whining about having 60 credit hours done because I'm looking at what college costs, and even though Florida hasn't increased their tuition since like 2013, and
Yeah, I
so
think Bright Futures helps with that. When the
yeah, I mean,
government's paying such a big chunk to kids to go to college, they want to keep their, inherently keep the cost down. So
so yeah, I mean, tuition for a 4-year degree is something like I think $6,000. Actually, do you know West Florida is more expensive to attend than Florida State or Florida?
unbelievable. I wouldn't know why.
But anyway, uh, it's also less expensive when you only have to do 2 years instead of 4. So I'm very excited about this. Another win for Northwest Florida State College, and basketball season starts soon, so I'm excited about that. Just another 2 months. I can live that long.
There you go.
Anyway, student arrested and detained by ICE. A sad government story or school story because apparently I can't do anything happy for more than one of our 5 stories.
That's right.
Rolando Vasquez detained by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement the beginning of last week, I believe. And with my texting with my sources, they say that he is still in ICE custody. He was involved in a car accident or a car collision, as I was corrected this morning at breakfast by our buddy John. And basically stayed at the scene of the accident, didn't have a driver's license, didn't have insurance. So he was taken into custody for driving without a license, and was put on a 48-hour hold and then a 72-hour hold for immigration customs. And now apparently he is down in Miami where his immigration case is getting started. But a bunch of his friends, neighbors have rallied and started protesting his detention. And that's where the story stands right now.
Yeah, the community is really split on this. Being a relatively conservative area politically, a lot of people are very happy with what the federal government is doing in deporting folks who came across the border illegally. And but then at the same time, this kid has been in our school system, has been raised here, probably considers himself an American, has done really well in school. But he made some mistakes, by driving a car without a license and no insurance. And so, yeah, it's been actually kind of tough to watch this play out on social media because it is something that is nuanced and something that's sort of fragmented our local community and how they feel about things.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what's very interesting is watching people discuss this. And I think the most potent argument from the side of like, keep Rolando, right, is that this guy is pretty smart. And he's a net positive is kind of the argument, is like, he should be able to stay because he's intrinsically valuable to America. And then of course on the other side, it's like, well, he's not here legally and we have laws.
Right.
And so I'm interested to see if anybody's opinion actually shifts, right? So I think that everybody, especially like when it comes to national stuff, like on the local stuff, like when we talk about like what happens to Eglin's golf course or, the Seacoast Collegiate, should we have, new schools for kids so that they can get their AA degrees? Like, I feel like people are a lot more mobile and like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I'll change my mind to this idea, right? But when it comes to like the national dialogue, even if it's like down at the local level, we've pretty much calcified. And so it doesn't matter what anybody else says. we're not changing our minds one way or the other, depending on what side we're on. And as a journalist, it's kind of tough to watch because you would hope that like, if we came to you tomorrow with like a new set of facts, either way, right? Pick your crazy scenario and we fill that with, hey, we found this out about him. He's actually a secret CIA agent and has been hiding from the Guatemalan cartels for 50. I don't know, right? Just pick your thing. I think it wouldn't move people, right?
Yeah, this immigration thing is heavily nuanced, right? Like how someone gets here, what age they were when they got here, what have they done since they've gotten here?
Does that matter, right? Like, does it matter how valuable,
do those
they are?
Yeah, do those things even matter? Does it matter that we don't have a path for folks, an easier path for folks to come into the country legally? Like there's just, I can play with all the different variables and probably get, most everyone to agree to one side,
Mhm.
or I can come up with a really good edge case or use case to say, to the other side that a person should be able to stay. It's just really, I know it's heartbreaking to kind of watch this play out in our community, but we're not the only community that is struggling with these type of situations and having these things happen to them. So
Yeah, and story ain't over, so we're going to be watching it. I'm waiting for updates, and if I get them, you know where to find them, midbaynews.com. Last thing on our docket, what's going to happen to Eglin's golf course? Late last week, I believe Eglin put out kind of a feeler post, as it were, to say like, hey, if we were going to, I don't know, do something with the golf course besides let people golf on it, what would you want us to do? And so they're kind of accepting proposals. I'm sure everything from like commercial real estate to factory. I don't know. Of course, housing, affordable housing would be a big one. But I guess I would want to ask you, Paul, as a developer, like what is the highest and best use of 18 holes of golf?
Well, when I first saw this, I thought it was just to refurbish the existing golf course, but I guess they're taking any ideas, huh?
That's what it sounded like to me based on the release that they put out.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
let's start with both ideas. Like one, to ground lease and have somebody, put investment dollars into the golf course to keep it a golf course.
Mhm.
Sounds like a very interesting way for Eglin to get a refreshed golf course out of the deal. I know around the state of Florida, including our very own Blue Water Bay, there's been, closings of golf courses all over the place. So I'm not sure 100% where golf stands right now, as a sport, and whether it's considered to be dying or thriving or having a bounce back. I think that course has a lot of history. I think a lot of people would love to see that course refurbished and kept a course. And to be honest with you, I think it's really going to be hard to do anything else with it. If you're only going to ground lease large swaths of it, it's really hard to do residential, although it has been done in our area, specifically out in Fort Walton Beach, where a developer did build housing and some other projects on government leased land. But it's really hard for somebody as a developer to be like, oh, I can build on this, but I only really have control of it through a lease for 100 years or whatever the period of time is, and that means like selling that is impossible. Makes it very difficult if you're just leasing the ground and you don't actually own the ground. So I don't know. I think our community wants the golf course to stay there. I think the community would like to see it refurbished. I don't think. I think it would be unpopular if it was turned into housing or commercial, but we'll see.
Yeah, so this is roughly 1.16 square miles, and to give you a reference, that's about a tenth of the size of the city of Niceville, the incorporated city of Niceville. So I'm scooting out here a little bit. This is this piece of land. This also includes like the Mullet Festival grounds and stuff like that. So the golf course takes up less space than this. I think it's kind of like right here. I think you carve off this piece right here, and that's kind of more Mullet Festival-y. But I mean, I would be interested to see what people, RFP or request for proposal. I don't know what the numbers are either on the use for the Eglin golf course. So if it's heavily used, then I mean, Eglin's got a pretty easy answer. If it's making a profit, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Although as you know me, I'd love to have more affordable housing. So I'd be interested in that, but we'll see. I mean, it's just one of those things where you don't know until you know.
Yeah, and I wonder how this plays in with the city's plans to sort of lease the Mullet Fairground area as well. And so I did not realize that RFP kind of included that whole section up there. But
I don't believe it does. I was just doing a quick click, because
got
we were
it.
talking and I wanted to make sure I was,
Yeah. Well, there right there. What you just showed was a message from Eli Mason, who's watching our show live, saying "fix the course," and I think a lot of people would say that.
Right on. Well, if they were ever to decide to sell houses there, and you wanted to buy one of these theoretical houses, who would you use, Paul, to get a mortgage?
I'd call our friends at Movement Mortgage, Steve Shutt and the Steve Shutt team. They'll definitely help you out with a mortgage, a refinance, or a home equity line of credit. They're the best in the business. They let Christopher Saul hang out in his office there at Movement Mortgage Studios. And Christopher, I know you enjoy hanging out in that environment and with those folks at Movement Mortgage, and they're good friends of the show. Steve does a great job, though. He loves our community. Movement Mortgage loves doing things for the community. It's just a win-win. Use a local mortgage broker. Use Steve Shutt, and it's better for the locals.
Yeah, you're darn tooting on all counts, Paul. If you ever want to set up a call with him, 850-897-8971. And then because he is so popular, if you just type in Steve Shutt, he's actually the second Steve Shutt. The first one is a random Canadian hockey player. Don't click on that one. He doesn't do mortgages, at least not in America that I know of. Steve Shutt, Niceville, Steve Shutt Movement, Steve Shutt Mortgage is the Google term I would use. And then he'll pop right up. And Colin Bester says, Steve is the best. His office is great. And that's a fact, Colin Bester, also of Mid-Bay News. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. Now, back to our look ahead. Got 4 or 5 things I want to talk to you guys about. I am working on what I think is the wildest video ever about Florida government. That sounds less sexy than it actually is. I need to tell you guys about Sidney Katz. Sidney Katz is the only governor from the Emerald Coast, so like Okaloosa, Walton counties, right? And my man thought that the papists, as he liked to call them, the Catholics, had a secret arsenal under a cathedral in Tampa, which didn't exist. And we're also going to plan to overthrow the government and install the Vatican in Central Florida.
What year was this?
This is 1916, my friend. This was 100-something years ago. And he won the governorship of the state of Florida on that platform. Also, eliminating alcohol was another big thing for him. And the story is just like, it starts there. And it's so wild. And I cannot wait to share it with you guys on all of our platforms. Hoping to get it done this week so that I can share the full story of Sidney Johnson Katz with you. But it involves a super close primary that was disputed, prohibition, an arsenal of weapons allegedly under a cathedral that doesn't exist, Baptist preachers, insurance salesmen, and a Ford Model T.
An anti-Catholic rhetoric.
Let me tell you, man, it was a doozy. And I thought everybody was blowing it out of proportion before I started researching this. They weren't blowing it out of proportion. But I will say this for Mr. Katz. He did do some pretty good stuff policy-wise. I guess everybody kind of does.
Don't give it all away, man.
I'm not. I'm just saying that, like, not all bad.
Okay.
All right. Saying this is a Romish papist myself. There are a couple things in there that I thought were pretty good, and we'll talk about them hopefully later this week when we drop that video. 2 big things out of Northwest Florida State College that we'll be covering this week. They're having a roundtable on the economy on Thursday. It's going to be taking place on Okaloosa Island. We'll bring you an update from that. A lot of interesting speakers, people with a lot of great ideas about how the economy can move forward here in our area. I'll give you that information. And then in the afternoon, the $20 million nursing facility, the biggest biggest single grant or donation ever in Northwest Florida State College's history to build this nursing facility. They're going to cut the ribbon on this great new place. I ran by it yesterday on my long run, and it's beautiful. It's very nice. It's state of the art, and they have virtual reality nursing. They show on the commercial. They have like the headsets, and it's very cool.
Mel Ponder's on a roll.
I'm telling you, Mel Ponder doing big things over there at NWFSC. Looking at you, athletic teams, because I am expecting to have some good times with my Raider Pass this year. And then,
Yes. So where are you going this Friday to watch football?
so Friday Night Football, guys. So preview is the Final Approach to Game Day show. Starts at 4:30 right here on this Facebook/YouTube/Instagram/Twitter channel that you're watching this on, wherever that might be. We'll be talking about all the games. We'll be doing our power rankings. I'm doing all the math on our power rankings right now, which is super fun for a guy with a liberal arts degree. Just saying. And so we'll have that out coming through this week. Your boy, yours truly, will be at the Choctaw at Crestview game. Frankly, I am expecting a blowout from Choctaw. I do think that Choctaw is the best team in the Western Panhandle. So that includes Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, Walton, Bay, and Holmes County. I throw Holmes in there just for funsies. I know it's a hot take. It's a hot take, but they looked really good. Our boy Colin Bester, who I am assuming is still watching this because, I mean, technically I'm his boss and he needs to lavish praise on me at all times, is going to be at the Niceville at Pine Forest game. So all of you that will be pining away to watch and see the latest from Niceville, Colin's got you covered. He's going to be watching that game. Pine Forest, I believe, coming off of a win last week. Same thing with Niceville. Pine Forest is typically a pretty good team the last, 10 years, including a state championship run. But a very good team. Oh, you know what? They did lose. They lost to Alabama team Daphne. So they lost to Daphne, Alabama, and they've beaten Pensacola, roughly rated about the same as Escambia, who Niceville had a rough time with last week, but it ended with a 21-point win. So, I mean, not rough, just kind of like not at the level of Final Four performance.
We got to work on those 3 or 4 guys that do the radio show for the Niceville football.
Oh, Shane Frederick and the boys?
Yeah, see if Shane and the boys will maybe throw some of their advertising coin this way to Mid-Bay News. So
look,
you can,
I'm always looking for cheddar. So who am I to say no?
Yeah, maybe Shane. Maybe I'll hit up Shane next time I see him.
Very good, very good. All right, and let's see. While this is going, put this quote up. No building. We have enough people in traffic. Do something positive for our city, like something for entertainment, bowling, miniature, golf, and movies.
Well, here's why that can't happen. Who's gonna build it?
Well, it's not problem because in communist Niceville, government built. And looking into the rest of our comments section, going to our first one. From Fairway to Future, Eglin's redevelopment plan could unlock commercial recreational use for bases land if the right partners step up. Who cares? Do you care, Paul?
I mean, I care. I just think it's really hard to make a profitable business on someone else's leased land, and it's your responsibility to build everything, run the business, and be profitable. If a skating rink, a movie theater, all those things were profitable businesses, we'd have more of them. And at one point in time, Niceville had a movie theater and it didn't thrive. So, it's really hard. If you build it, they will come is fantastic until you're the one who has to pony up millions upon millions of dollars to try to make it happen.
If they build it, they will come or not.
Or not.
Number 2, this is about our sale issue. Arm's length transaction, not something I know anything about. Is that a thing? Am I missing something?
Well, I just think Mr. Jeter just has stated he did everything legally and that it was an arm's length transaction. It was done properly with no malice. It's not like he bought the property for $1 or something. He paid pretty decent market value for a lot of land. So I think he's just trying to say that the whole deal was on the up and up.
Number 3. About this regional economic diversification story. You can check that out at midbaynews.com, talking a little bit about how we're going to bring in some economic specialist types. This gentleman says, my 72-year community native opinion is that we do not need high-paid hucksters to bring economic growth or diversity. Newbie residents lack interest or knowledge regarding voting for officials more focused on quality of life than rapid high-density growth. Longtime residents can easily see years of voting the wrong officials and ignoring growth management regulations. Lot there. I'll go first. As somebody, I guess, that would technically be considered a newbie, I've only been here for 10 years. So I would say that those people, I think this maybe more leans toward like the people that are in the Air Force that are here for 3 years and then dip. And yeah, they don't have as much of a literal stake because maybe they don't even change their voting, registration from their hometown and wherever they're from, right? So I see that. There was a quote that came up to me a couple of months ago and it just stuck with me. And it's probably something you said, but basically the residents vote for themselves, but the developers vote for future residents. And it stuck with me because I think that if we don't have future residents, people coming in, if it ain't a growing church, it's a dying church. And so I tend to think that way about it, with some caveats for, making sure things make sense. Can't build a 20-story high rise right next to the airport.
It's a supply and demand issue, right? If
Yeah.
you can't complain about how expensive things are,
Mhm.
they're expensive because the supply is low, and then not want the supply to increase, so that the prices can come down. And so, I think it's hard to talk out of both sides of your mouth. I definitely think there's some folks who don't like change. Most people don't. And yeah, so, people look at giving money to economic and development and area development as change. Let's bring in more people. Let's bring in more things.
Yeah. And a final comment from the peanut gallery. Colin Vester says Christopher's amazing. And he is right. I am super neat. At least that's what my wife tells me.
Hey, Christopher, I think you should pay Colin whatever he's making now plus what you pay me.
Done. I'm taking that money from you and I'm giving it to him. Congratulations, Colin. You've got a raise
Colin.
of $0.
Hey, is that the end of our show?
That's the end of the show, man. You got anything else?
Nah, we've been going for like 36 minutes. I think they're probably tired of us out there.
Tired of us? Maybe tired of me, Paul.
Maybe. Well, I can end the show the way I usually do. Hey, be nice, Niceville.
You've heard the man.